Hello, Melissa. I've not got a practice on this evening, so I thought I would make you this little video of the exercises and practices that we were doing when Grace and I came to visit. I'm going to do some 3-minute practices. I'm just going to give you a handful that you can dip into and dip out of as and when you see fit. The idea behind a 3-minute practice or a 5-minute practice is about time and time not being a restriction. So finding little routines that you can squeeze into your day or that you can build into a sequence, how you can take an idea and then begin to explore that idea. So the first and most important practice is a breath practice, and that can be just sitting with your breath. The breath should always be long and fine, and it should always be through the nose, in and out through the nose. You can breathe out through the nose, depending upon breathe out through the mouth, depending upon what practices you're doing. So, for instance, somebody who's doing board breaking may well breathe in through the nose, out, expel with something called a ki or a ki up, depending upon what martial art they're doing. So the breath is really important. So if you can just sit with your breath for 3 minutes before you begin a practice, that's always a good foundation, because everything begins with the breath and it ends with the breath. So the next thing after your breath practice, because I'm not going to ask you to sit and watch me breathing for 3 minutes, but let's just say we've started with our legs out in front, because some of us find sitting cross-legged difficult. It can be a stress. So what we're going to do is, this is called staff pose, and it really is underrated as a practice, and it's the first position, the first posture that's taught in a very popular book called Asana, Pranayama, Mudra, and Bandha, which is a yoga guide. However, hands come to the side, lift your bum up, and then shunt back. So these little practices here, just flexing and pointing the toes, flexing, pulling back, pointing, and just working through these bends. Now, what we're going to look at is 3 minutes. So it doesn't mean that you do the foot practice for 3 minutes. It means that you could. It means that you find a sequence of things that go naturally together for you in your sequence. I like this because we don't pay enough attention to our toes. You can then do little circles with your toes. Make sure that you keep your back nice and straight, because your joints and your vertebrae are joints. It's all about space, or rather the space between your vertebrae are joints. So I'm just moving my feet around in circles, and then I can change direction, just drawing those circles. So I've done 10 points, 10 flexes, and we started a little bit into that practice, into that 3 minutes. So that's a really nice sequence. The next sequence that I want to show you is very, very powerful, and it's from this staff pose, because I'm not one to miss a move. So we can start off by reaching up above the head. We then can come with a forward fold and look over the toes. It's not about getting your head down to your knees. It's more so about extending the back and reaching forwards. Nice practice will be hands on the floor. Another nice step to that might be elbows to the floor. And if you are super flexible or just wanting to go that bit further, you could try and bring your head to your knees. Forward folds, reaching up. Simple twist. The left hand comes onto the right knee. The right hand comes behind and touches the floor just to support. And then you look over the right shoulder. And again, you're aiming to try and hold this. So the breath should be long and fine. Ideally, it's coming in for 5 and out for 5 to count as being one breath. But, just work with your breath and within your practice and hold it. So you could go for a count of 10 or 5 breaths, release, reach up, forward fold. Again, just settling it, feeling the back line of the legs and the back line in the back. Slide back, hands reach up, and then the right hand comes onto the left knee, and then we pop another little twist in, and then look over the left shoulder. It doesn't have to be deep. And don't go too deep, because if you go too far, that's how you hurt yourself. Ease in. Yoga, kung fu, movement practices, they are actually about surrender, about letting yourself go into the posture. So then we come back. So I like to think that we need to do forward folds, back bends, twists, some form of balance, some form of side bend. So as we're here, I'm going to show you a little side bend, which is very, very simple again, because we can work within this space. Hands can come down. And if I bend the elbow, and this is important, when I take the hands and then drop, that is the right distance. Place your palms on the floor and then just see if you can lower your elbow again to the floor. Don't lift the left buttock up. I love that red buttock. Then you can balance it out onto the left hand side. And again, you're using your elbow to push you onto the right side. Then you can add an extra layer. Elbow can come down, hand can reach over the head. Then we can flow back to the opposite side, and then we can reach over the head. So this then can be combined with your hands going up, coming forward for a forward fold, reaching up, simple twist, left hand onto right knee. Coming back to the center, reaching up, forward fold, sliding back in, reaching up, simple twist to the left side, right hand onto the left knee. The hand at the back is supported to stop you dumping, slumping and dumping. Then we can release, then we can come into a side bend, reaching over, and then we can come back into the opposite side, side bend and reaching over. Again, you're pushing to make sure that the bum stays flat to the floor. So you can play around with that little sequence, and you can spend 3 minutes or 5 minutes just moving through. There's your forward fold. I'll do this a little bit quicker. We can reach up, simple twist to the right, left hand onto the knee. Sliding back round, reaching up, forward fold. Hands come up, simple twist to the left side, right hand onto the knee. I'm going to pop it in another little forward fold here, just because I missed it out last time, or forgot to add it, whichever way you want to call it. And it's a recipe, it's a sequence of ingredients that suit you. Then I can come from a little side bend practice. And side bends are really important because they help to massage those internal organs. Okay, so now we're going to go down to do the next, for me, and it's really important and it gets neglected a lot, is back bends. So the first thing is how we get there, because we could just lie down, but we're missing a trick. Point your toes. Keep your hands to stabilize at the side and just slowly draw your feet in, keeping your toes pointing until the soles of your feet touch the floor. Now I can feel that right in my right leg. It's coming right down the back of my right calf, right into the sole of my right foot. And that is one of my bugbears. It's one of my, this is one of the reasons why I do this practice. So now I want to go down towards the ground into what's called semi-supine. So I'm just going to pause the video for a moment. So we go from here, feet pointed, drawing in. Now from here, and this is the important bit, because we don't want to just lie down. For something to lift up, something needs to go back. So we're just going to tilt, leaning back, keep the arms straight, and then the feet will just pop up. And then with boat pose, your eyes want to be level with your toes. So you can keep this going for a period of time. You can set the timer. You could try for 3 minutes, like people do for a 3-minute plank. You can mix up different things. But also from here, you can then begin to extend out your boat pose. So you're straightening through the body. Now I find this easier than this position. This for me is where the boat pose is. This stretching out is just a nice way of lowering yourself. But you can use this, because this then can become an exercise in itself if that's within your practice. So then we're going to lower ourselves down to the floor with a nice big full body stretch. Now then, from here, wriggling around, we want to draw the feet in. Good measurement is that your hand touches the ankle. We want to do a pelvic roll. So I'm rolling my pelvis up towards my solar plexus. It's very subtle, but because I'm holding this little pelvic tilt here, I can feel that right in my quadriceps. Then I'm going to tuck underneath and roll around onto the coccyx to create an arch in the back. And then I link that to my breathing. So I've breathing in, breathing out. I'm going to count 10 of these. I'm just using my fingers to help me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And don't forget, you've got different joints on your fingers to make you seem more mystical when you're touching them. So a really simple yet powerful practice, just pelvic tilts, rolling the pelvis up and rolling the pelvis under, link to the breath in as you come up, out as you tuck under. So we'll just come back to stillness, and it doesn't matter if you do it the opposite way around. If you decide that you're breathing out when you tuck under, what matters is that you are aware of your breath. So grab under the ankles. If you can, pull them close to your bum. You can hold on here, and then you want to just bring your glute bridge or your shoulder bridge up into the air. You can put the hands out as a cross just to help, but again, we want to do this slowly and controlled. So think about your breath. So we breathe in and we lower down to the floor, vertebra by vertebra. I quite like, and then we tuck the pelvis under. So now when I come back, I lift the pelvis and I'm coming up one backbone at a time, nice and controlled. And what I quite like when I get to this point, just hanging out, is to put a little spiral in my pelvis. And then to use that spiral to lower myself back down to the ground. Now for our last shoulder bridge or glute bridge, as we come up, we want to just lift up onto the tiptoes as best as we can. And then lower down. You can practice that a number of times within your 3 minutes, but we've just gone over the 3 minutes there. So we're going to come back down to the floor. Now then, this is a really useful practice. This little sequence is great for opening up those hips. So I'm just going to change the angles a little bit. Pull the knee in. Hug the knee. Straighten the leg up to the ceiling. You're aiming to get the sole of your foot flat to the ceiling. Point and flex. Again, this pointing and flexing, it is so important. We punish our feet every single day, so much so that we don't even know our poor feet are being punished. They just take it for granted. Stretch them, wiggle them. It will bring you a lot of relief for your lower back problems, hip problems and things. Circle. Again, nice and simple circle. As big a circle as you can get, but don't bring it into the leg. Change direction. So you're just counting. I'm just counting 10, but you'll work out a sort of time for these practices that fit in with either the 3 minute or the 5 minute idea. Now stopping you doing 10 minutes. Bend the knee, circle the foot. You could always isolate behind the knee if you're struggling, just move it. But the key to this is that our knee isn't just a hinge joint. It's a misconception. It has a lot of circular movement. Just like the elbow, change direction. Back to front elbows. Nice big circle. Okay, knee comes into the chest, drop out to the side and straighten through. We draw it back and through. Really pushing it through. As with everything, you need to change direction so the knee comes up on the outside, into the middle, down the centre line, and just keep it moving again. Now that's just gone for the 3 minute ting. So if I wasn't dilly-dallying, it would have fitted in the 3 minutes quite nicely. But it doesn't matter that you run over. It's just a guide. Timetables. Okay, place the foot down. Bring the left knee in and give it a hug. Pull it right into the chest. You can even scrunch up into a ball around it. That's quite nice. Then the foot goes up in the sky. Point the toes, flex, point, flex, point and flex. Then we circle the toe. Change direction. Bend the knee, circle the foot. You're drawing a circle with your foot. Change direction. Knee comes in, drop out to the left side, stamp straight down, draw in, and keep repeating. 2, 3, 4. So you draw in a circle with your knee. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Change direction, so draw the knee up on the outside, then stamp down. Up on the outside, then stamp down. Just keep it rolling through. Really gentle yet powerful practice and secure with the ground. And a lot of our issues with joint pain are to do with our relationship to the ground and our relationship to our vertical axes. Okay. So we come back to stillness. Here, there's all sorts of spaces that you could go to. You could drop your knees out to cobblers. You can do supine twists. Flopping around on the floor. But I'm going to very quickly show you the pelvic roll. So remember the pelvic, like Arctic roll, but not as tasty. You'll feel the points. Iliac crest, the top of the pelvis, the seat of the iliac, sometimes called the sitting bones. It's a circle. It's a circle that wraps around. So, what we want to be able to do is move around as much of the outside of our pelvis as possible. It's that shape. And then it gets twisted by the stresses of the body. So it's almost like a Mobius loop or something like that. So you want to roll around just one hip. You can use your hands to help you. Place it on the floor, let it roll. And then you try to bring the top of your pelvis along the floor and then roll in to your groin. Then we roll back out. And then we bring ourselves back up to seated. And take your time with it. Really, the longer you can make the circle of the movement around, the more the parts of your pelvis that are tethered, anchored, stuck, are able to be worked out. Now then, we then begin to build the practice a little bit, and then we want to maybe see whether we can do the practice without using the hands to touch the floor. Now remember, what you do on one side, we do on the opposite side. So it's a good idea to set the timer for 3 minutes and do those pelvic rolls for 3 minutes. See how they suit you. That rug in your front room will be perfect for it. So I'm going on the opposite side. I'm using my hands to support for the first couple of goes as I'm rolling around that pelvis and into your groin. And this will be really powerful for the first couple of times that you do it. And then suddenly, ow! And then suddenly, oh, now that is interesting, burn in the neck, right in the neck. And then suddenly it will become mundane because you've got used to it. I wonder what that was telling me. I wonder what that was, untethering. rolling down, rolling into that hip, and then back. So that's the end of the 3 minute timer for what we were doing. And come back up. And then if you do it without the hands, straighten the legs out. It's a bit like the boat pole. Cross your legs if it helps. I quite like that bit. Whoosh. And then we can move back and through. And then when you've explored each side, you can then explore the idea of moving around and then creating a figure of 8. So we then start to move into the groins and then moving out. And it's just a little bit of fun. Okay, so from here, you then want to think about starting to get ready to stand up. So I like this little transition. The reverse plank is a brilliant, I think the reverse plank has really helped me on my, for what of a, let's call it tendonitis, fasciitis, wingeitis, point the toes, pelvis comes up off the floor. The objective of the reverse plank is to get the soles of the feet to touch the floor. Just pushing through. Pelvis up. I'm going to do this for about a minute, honest. I'm enjoying this because this morning I did a practice in somebody's garden and it was a very different practice, so it's quite nice to be doing this. But I feel I've been doing this little practice a lot recently. Maybe a little bit longer. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then come into a reverse tabletop. Pelvis coming up again. Just hang out, reverse tabletop, head downward back. Push the pelvis up, don't let it slump. Head downwards back. I'm just aiming roughly for a minute. You can set timers if you want, but then you've also got to bear in mind each time you set a timer, you're breaking your rhythm, you're breaking your flow, your sequence that your body wants you to follow, and not out of bad habits either. Okay, so from here we lower the bum towards the heel. Now this is a brilliant practice. It does take practice and lots of it. First part, if your heels are up off the floor, this is not wrong. Okay, it's to do with the elasticity in the tendons and in the fascia. If your heels do come to the floor, that's brilliant. If you need something under your heels, like a book, books are good. One of my students uses a flip-flop, just a little thin thing. So, elbows come in, push the knees out, garland pose. Just sit with this a little bit. This is a game changer, this little practice. We do not spend enough time squatting. Enjoy your squat. Okay, so now the left hand touches the floor. The right elbow pushes the knee out, counting 10. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then we'll go for 10 reaches. 1. Nice straight line. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Switch sides. Right hand on the floor, left hand into the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then reach. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This next bit, the head nods, you can use garland pose again and bring your head. You can lower it down. You can do thumbs up. You can do one thumb, or you might be super flexible and be able to get your head to the floor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we come back here. We've got a choice now. We can either go forwards or we can go backwards. We can sit down into staff pose, which we started the practice with. I want to go forwards into our tabletop. This little practice now is fantastic. Cat curl. Arch the back, look at the tummy, breathing out. Present the chest or brighten the chest to the front, drop the belly. 1. Arch the back, breathing out. Brighten the chest, breathing in. 2. So you just explore for 10 of these. 10 is a great number. It's not too much, it's not too little. Now what I'm doing here is I'm doing each cat curl, because I'm talking, my breathing's maybe not as focused as it could be, but what I'm also doing is counting by pressing my fingers into the floor. So these are good little tools that I've learned from teaching how to keep track of where I'm up to. Arch the back, breathe it out, brighten the chest, breathe it in. Once more, and brighten the chest. So that's cat cows or cat curls. The cat sequence is great, because now what I'm going to do is what I call a smelly cat. So you want to imagine that somebody stood next to you, or get somebody to stand next to you, or put a chair next to you, or a table there, and you want to curl around that table there. You want to get your hip and your shoulder to squeeze it, and look for your ankle behind, and come back to the other side, look for the ankle. So hip and shoulder are coming in the same direction. Spinal mobility. Flexion of the spine outside of what we perceive as being its limited range of movement. It is so flexible once you get in touch with it. We are a spinal intelligence with a flowering of desire at the top, at its head. And what tends to happen is that the head tells us that we can't do it. I can't practice on video. I can't do this. I can't do it. I can't get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go and practice in a car park. You know, we convince ourselves of all sorts of wonderful things. Now then, this next bit is the hip rotations. So drop your bum back onto the heels. This is rest position or child, or the beginnings of child's pose. Stretch your arms out in front, slide forwards so that the legs are diagonal. So this is up dog or cobra, depending upon, that's actually up dog when your knees come up. This is cobra, big cobra. And this is child's pose. It's a great little routine to just move through the two. But now we're going to push the hips out to the right side and circle all the way around. Elbows are touching the floor. Circle round and make sure that you hang out in each part of the practice, particularly the child's pose or the seed and the cobra. Any of these practices that don't serve you, first of all, explore why they're not working for you. Is it a reticence inside of you? Is it that it really doesn't agree with a part of your body? Is it just, it might not just be for you. However, I think these are some of the greatest little movements, change direction, that I've come across so far in my exploration for a pain-free life. And it can be. It just takes a little bit of practice. And I'm using the word practice because work is not the right word. Exercise is not the right word. They have negative ideas about them. My work is not teaching Kung Fu. That's my practice. Don't like the word work. I don't know if you've noticed that now. Okay, so now I come back to my rest position. Have a moment, and we are nearly done. Now this is a little move. I don't know if I showed you this the other day, but it's a great little practice. So from kneeling, we can then explore all sorts of things. But what's really useful is to rise up on your knees, tuck the toes under, bum comes down. Remember I said earlier about for something to go up, something else comes down. Stand up. And that now is a little movement practice, hopefully to help with your pelvis and hip things. Hope it helps. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you do it.